All righty, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Kickback. I am your host, The Dude. As we do interviews with ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives. Tonight is no different from any other interview we do. We have an extraordinary young man that has been doing some extraordinary things in his life. Everybody, welcome to the platform.
Brother Jaylin Henry. What's up, beautiful people? What's up?
All
What's
right.
up?
Go for it. Tell us who you are, what you do, where you from.
Well, couldn't wait to do such. What's up, bro? I am 28 years young, originally born in Killeen, Fort Hood, Texas. Got transplanted here by the grace of God. And, through all that, I've been able to grow at a rapid rate, coming from a small town of 6 siblings, being the oldest, coming from a single parent household. I'm pretty sure my story looks similar. My come up story looks similar to other people, but it's not limited to the regular struggles of a single parent's household. I've been through addiction, substance misuse. I've been with the land, gang banging. I've been to jail, and by the grace of God, I've been able to grow past those things, and it's ultimately brought me here into Nashville, and it's revealed a side of me. Nashville's revealed a side of me that I've always knew that was there, but I now finally have the opportunity to cultivate, and I'm doing such by really tapping into my spirit, man, and what it means to be an entrepreneur and being multifaceted. And I'm able to do these things here in this space, like teach dance, after school program. I started a nonprofit called Recovery for You that reflects my ministry and my story of substance misuse. I sing, I use my voice to minister, to sing and touch and connect with people as Jesus would do, I like to think. And I'm currently, pursuing and broadening my understanding of spirituality and what it means to tap into the God man of it all. And yeah, I'm here, man, for this opportunity to expand on a lot of those things, man.
All
Happy
right.
and excited.
So, like you said, you are an implant. Welcome to Nashville. How long have you been in Nashville?
Going on 4 years, baby. 4 years
4
strong.
years. Now, you said through the God blessing, you were brought to Nashville. Now, what originally brought you to Nashville?
Well, a relationship. I ain't gonna hold you.
A relationship?
A relationship, a romantic relationship. I was
Okay.
trying to
That's
play
understandable.
house. Look,
That's a good one.
I ain't come to Nashville for nothing deep, no big old nothing like that. I came here thinking I was gonna be put up and live my best life as a couple and a married man, and life had other plans.
Life had other plans. And sometimes it happens that way. I think what you said is very true. And I think a lot of people don't understand with God's plan, it's totally different. And my brother always says, if you want to make a fool of yourself, tell God what your plans are, because he has a different plan for you. You can tell people and you can tell God all day long what your plan is, but God always has something different for you. Were you in the military?
Yes, I was. I did my stint, so served my time in. Did the dash.
Now, what part of them, were you in the Army, the Navy? What were you
Yes,
in?
Army, 92 Whiskey, Relaxing Jackson. Relaxing Jackson is the base that
Okay.
I grew in. And for other circumstances I did not stay in. But it's something that it's a time in my life that I reflect on. It was a time in my life that molded me and that gave me the training. I get, train your child up, the whole thing gave me the training that I need to stay grounded and who I wanted to be. The
Okay.
military did work for me in that
Now,
way.
okay. And you said you were one of 6. Were you were the oldest or the youngest of 6?
Oldest, my daddy was feeling himself. Yeah, I got a couple ghetto twins in my family, as people like to say.
Hey, man, it happens. And in those days and times, Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, still is. That's where I get it from, baby. Pimping ain't easy.
Pimping ain't easy.
It ain't easy, right?
I'm digging the fit though. I love the hat.
Yeah, appreciate you, bud.
With the vest and the tie. I'm digging your fit. But let's get into it. So you moved here. What year did you move to Nashville?
On and off. Okay, so I officially moved here about 2019, 2020,
Okay.
2020, 2021. But like, I have my, I used to be in these Murfreesboro streets when I used to tap in Nashville back when I used to go to Wally College, okay?
Okay.
Before I'm pushing 30, when I first got into to Tennessee, I lived here in Murfreesboro about 1918. I was college life living, found a community here in Murfreesboro. I lived there for a little bit. Life happened. I end up going away, trying to figure out life, ended up coming back in 2020, 2019, 2020. And that's when I started like be, feet planted here in Nashville. So yeah, I've been around
Okay, but
since 19.
let's not drive past away from life got in the way. What
Okay.
was life that made you have to leave Murfreesboro and leave college and come back?
Me. I guess you can say with being younger, you always think from a defeatist mindset. I've never really been through life. So the old me would say I didn't have the opportunities that I want to, or like, I didn't have the money growing up, or my mom, this and that. And ultimately that did have a impact on my trajectory as far as where I wanted to go in life. For example, my mom wanted me to go to college, do certain things. And me not really understanding how blessed I was at 19, 18 to be from such a low, a community that's in poverty, but still have the opportunities that I have at 18 and 19, I really wasn't understanding the grasp of that. So she wanted me to go to military, go to school, have this sense of stability throughout my life, and me being young and having all these opportunities at 19, 18 years old, not really understanding the ebb and flow of life. I didn't want to do it that way, but I want to go to college. I'm a star. Like, nigga, I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to do how I want to do. And
Right.
eventually, everything else subsided. Me thinking I knew everything in life, that eventually caused me to get put out the house at 19, 20, because I didn't want to follow the rules. Then I'm on my home, living couch to couch, living with the same people that my mom never thought was my friends, but I thought was my friends. And
Right.
now that I don't have mom and dad or support systems, now that I feel like I can do bad on my own, I started doing bad on my own and not really having the life skills to manage it. Because I think I knew everything. I thought I knew everything. And
I call it the grown syndrome. Every 18,
yes,
19, 20, 21, 22, all the way up until you about 25, you go through that I'm grown syndrome. But what you just said is amazing because a lot of young people don't understand that. You really, at that age, don't have the life skills to manage your own life. You really
that's
don't.
You don't. You don't. And you don't. And when you're such a like medium fish in a small pond like Killeen for Texas, you're not even really like realizing like you don't know the scope of everything. You don't
Right.
know. And it's unfortunate that I have the personality type that I do to where people telling me wasn't going to be enough.
Right. You
People
had to go
telling
see
me
for yourself.
I had to go see for myself, and boy, did I like and fight. Can fight. Told my behind up. Okay,
Right.
and by life, I was humble, which brings me to where I'm at now. I'm able to engage with people from a different spirit man, a stronger spirit man, a more compassionate place, a more understanding place, a more graceful place, a more humbled space and
Okay.
place.
Now,
And
at your age you are now, looking back over all the things that you went through, what is the one thing that you're most thankful for?
the fact that I was able to overcome my addiction,
Now, let's
you know,
talk about it. Let's
you
talk
can,
about addiction. How old were you can you recall how old you were when you started using your DOC?
right. I was 19, 20, freshly off getting put out my mother's house. Like, I don't have the same story as if I grew up around it. My mom is not. She doesn't misuse substances,
Okay.
and my sisters don't, so like in my immediate upbringing, that I didn't have access to that. So it's when I got there on my own, it came knocking on my door, literally. I was on the app, being young and hot and ass, trying to hustle. And it literally came knocking on my door. A gentleman asked me, did I party, which is the language that they would use,
Okay.
to sensationalize whatever to sensationalize the moment. And me being young and naive and not growing up with that language, not even knowing what certain things would look like, and me being naive, I'm like, yeah, I party because I always been been
Right.
lit, been cool, been with it. Yeah, nigga, I party. I came on over, and the party wasn't. He had basketball shorts on, motherfucking t-shirt. This ain't the type of party that I'm thinking we finna head out to.
Right.
um, Motherfucker pulled it out, and it was drugs. It was methamphetamine.
Okay.
Let's be able to be transparent, since that's what we hear. It was
Yes.
methamphetamine, and mm, it was brought to me as something different, and it wasn't told to me that was methamphetamine to after the deed was already done, to after I already had hit the pipe, to after I already had did X, Y, and Z. And me being so far removed from my family, like I told you at the time, I was put out the house. I wasn't talking to any of my siblings. I was doing bad on my own. So,
Okay.
but I still had opportunities in the background that I wasn't able to manage, like me being off Broadway. 'Cause at the time, I was doing musicals, so I was singing and dancing off Broadway. That's why I thought I had everything, but like me not knowing what the crap it is that I'm finna do, I can't even function in these rehearsals. I can't even do X, Y, and these rehearsals because my mind, my spirit, my mind is somewhere else because of something I just did. And me trying to manage that over the years between 19, 20, and between 25, was not, it became a thing. It became harder and harder to bounce back to my grounded self. So like I end up being hospitalized for schizophrenia. I didn't went as far as to shooting up and putting needles in my arm, but by the
Okay.
grace of God, like by the grace of God, by the
Yeah.
grace of
Oh,
God, I can
listen,
yeah,
if it
by
wasn't
the
for
grace,
God, we wouldn't be here. Now, I'm gonna
yeah,
ask you a question,
yeah,
and it's up to you to answer or not.
yeah.
You said being on these apps and they presented it to you as party. Now, that
Mm-hmm.
language sounds like jacked or something.
Yes. Well,
Okay,
yeah, you're
so
a little more tapped in than I thought. So yeah.
oh,
Um,
my brother is what's the title? Or what
yeah, I'm
title are
about
we
to
looking for?
yes, same gender queer, same gender loving, whatever you
Okay.
want to.
Okay.
I'm not
I don't want
trans.
I
Make it
never
clear.
no, I never want to disrespect anyone's
Yeah.
titles.
Yeah, right.
So what is your title?
I identify as a queer man.
Okay.
A queer man.
That's fine. And it's I'm gonna love you no matter what, my brother.
I
I'm gonna love
appreciate
you
it,
no
dog.
matter what. But
Appreciate you, baby.
yes, I'm gonna love you no matter what. Because like I said, my brother identifies as a queer man. He identifies as a queer man. But here's the thing. So you knew at an early age that you were a queer man.
Definitely.
Okay, and that's fine. Did that cause any problems going into the military?
No, it might have more so problems with the religious side of my life, more so than the day to day 9 to 5 practical side of my life. No,
Okay,
it did not affect.
okay.
Because it's
I
real.
mean, because if we're gonna have a real conversation, we're gonna have a real conversation.
Let's talk about it. I want to say, yeah, I think I've been blessed enough to grow up in a space to where I can be malleable. Like I can blend into any space. So while I identify as a queer man, I never had that issue of being outcasted because of my identity that I can tell. That
No,
I could tell at least. That I could tell at least until I got into my spirit, man, and what religion and what God. And so talking to that world is when I think, my
things
identity
change.
start being challenged. My identity
Right,
start being challenged. Let me phrase
right.
it that way.
And we're gonna drive. We identify that. We're gonna drive past that.
Right,
We gonna drive past it because it's still a part of your
right,
identity. But we're going to talk about the struggles and all the things that came along with your addiction
right,
and how you let your addiction compromise your opportunities that were placed in front of you. Because how many young men do you know at your age was able to be able to dance off of Broadway and do all those things? And is the drug usage something prevalent in that world?
Well, one, I think it's relevant in every world. Let me just say that. I
Oh,
do.
it is
I'm
the
gonna say,
drug usage, but from what I'm
do I?
saying, I'm saying this. This person came over, like you said, you was ready to go party. You was ready to
Right,
go, you was ready to
do
go
my
shake the
thing.
club down, do your
Right.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
and they came over in basketball shorts and they introduced you to something that you had never been involved in your life.
Right.
And what, okay, maybe here's a better question.
Right.
Being that you were 19 and you had never involved yourself in any type of drugs, what made you propelled to use the drugs?
It's a sense of not knowing what was going on at like at the time. Because
Okay.
at that point, I had dropped out of Wiley College. I went to Wiley College. I got
Okay.
opportunity. I got a scholarship there to sing, but me not. Like I said, the life skills was not there. So me
Yes,
maintaining going
I
to class,
agree.
me going to classes constantly, me trying to find X, Y, and Z across campus. It was just too much. It at the time was the capacity for me to lean into those things and get my education just wasn't there because I thought I was going to be a superstar. And the fact
Right.
that slowly but surely, I dropped out of college, tried to go back home, wasn't going. My mom wasn't going. I can't come back home unless I'm working. Didn't want to work because I feel like I'm not meant to be working at a 9 to 5 at McDonald's when I'm seeing it. I'm gifted, you know. But me realizing I'm not bigger than the program, I'm not gifted enough to be doing what I want to do. And so eventually, the opportunity to dance and sing on Broadway disappeared too. You're not showing up to rehearsal. Okay, you don't want to come to practice when you need to come to practice. We can get somebody else to do it. Me being
Right.
19 and 20 at the time, I'm thinking like, nigga, I'm the only one. It's the only one. You know, I'm gonna get the job done.
No, there's a million other people waiting to take your place.
Right. I get the job done. But eventually that subsided. And me going up with women, I try to reflect my hustle mindset using what I got to get what I want. So eventually that's what it became to. I can go back to the house with my mom, was dropped out of college, wasn't going back into the military. So I ended up living in a city with my trick at the time, who I consider a trick, was an older man that I knew would take care of me. So at that point, when I got introduced to it, I was in the middle, in between of figuring like out, okay, what am I going to do, Jaylin? Like, what are you going to do?
Right.
What you going to do? So the sense of me not knowing who I was, where I'm going, and what I'm doing, that sitting with all that is what I could not sit with. And so when I hit that, I realized, oh, bitch, my mind is somewhere else and I'm doing this. You know,
So
I'm feeling
it was numbing the pain of your failures.
exactly. Like, you know, picking in high school, you know, people, oh, I thought you'd be doing more, this and that. Like all that
Right.
language, those word
Right.
curses, you know, it's like,
Of course. But
and not seeing the ceiling of that when it comes to such a low poverty place. Like, nobody next to me is a millionaire. Nobody next to me has a business. Nobody in my immediate proximity is doing anything remotely anything that I would want to do in life in my
right.
immediate vicinity.
Right. So how long did that last? How long did that life last?
To 25, 26.
So
You
from
know,
19 to 25, you were addicted to a substance, living place to place with people who you thought that would take care of you.
yes, and not necessarily in a monetary way because I've always been able to do for myself, survive. I've never been able to survive on my own, but would take care of me, like be the family that I was missing.
Right. And I notice in your community a lot of people take on families. You know, I've seen where there's the mother figure and they kind of
I'm talking about ballroom
yes, yeah.
houses and
Oh,
all that.
Pose. Me and the wife
Yeah,
watch
you
Pose.
know it.
Oh, that's why I said, bro, I'm tapped in. Even though
Yeah.
I'm where I'm at, I'm tapped in because the thing is, I love people.
Right.
I don't care what you do in your personal life. That's your business. I love people. And I feel like your story needs to be told because here's the thing. There's another young man right now that's 17, 18, 19, about to graduate from high school and is about to go down the same path you went down. And if this interview can save one person, my God, job is done. Because I started this whole thing to save one soul. One soul. But the way God works, God put this idea in my head and he gave me this voice to propel this platform. It's going to save more than one soul, but I feel like, and I'm going to say this, and I know there's no disrespect to anybody, you or me, But there are a
Right.
lot of heterosexual men will not cross over and have these type of conversations with a queer man and get in depth into their lives. Now, we ain't going to talk about your sex life because that has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
But your title has everything to do with it, because this world is going to look at you in a particular way about anything. We were born with two strikes against us when we were born in this world. We were black and we were male. You understand what I'm saying? And then how you felt growing up and who you are as a man today gave you another strike. So in this world, you have so much against you, but you have so much going for you. If you can understand what I'm saying. But the things that you've been through and the life that you've lived is your testimony. But you had to be put through the test in order to have the testimony. And that's what a lot of people nowadays don't understand. They just want it all. They want it all. I want it right now. Let me get it right now. But they don't want to go through the test to get to the testimony. But you, like I said, let's be honest. Let's be all these things. And you have been very honest and very open.
Right.
And I appreciate all of that.
Right.
But here's the thing. Drug addiction, living from house to house, did a short stint in the military, and now where you are now, have you encountered any young men that you can see yourself in?
Have I? Yeah. more than enough. And that's why it's such a burning desire to stay steadfast in the path that God is having me in. In my workings of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, with my connections to after school programming and dance and my ministry and singing, I always meet the little boys who's a little more like that,
Okay.
sitting in the corner. I always see the boy who's not like this, but is a little more quirky, or a little more less cool, whatever that means, than the other kids. And I always find myself, my energy or my spirit man, being attracted to those spirits when it comes to young men. So definitely.
So what do you do in those situations? Are you mentoring those young men? Are you telling those young queer men that it's okay to be authentically them?
Yes, and I'm telling that in coincidence with me showing them that, because some people can't be told.
Right. No, most of this young generation, they are looking, because where we are now as a society, everything has to be shown. Everything has to be shown, because I tell my kids all the time, hey, I done lived 46 years on this earth. I've done everything you've done. But then they still looking at me like, yeah, but whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yes. And so you're showing them and telling them that their lives can be totally different. What kind
If
of
you just do, my bad.
But what kind of outcome are you getting from these young men that your spirit kind of guides you to? What are some of the things that you're hearing from these young men that your spirit kind of talks to? Your heart kind of leads you to those young men. What are you hearing from this newer? Because we're gonna call them the newer generation.
Right.
Because you're in your 30s now, right?
Yeah, knocking on them.
Knocking on them, but we're gonna call it.
Yeah, they're not gonna answer you. We ain't there yet.
All right, but still, the younger generation that you encounter, what are some of the things that you're hearing from them about their struggles?
Well, from in my proximity, it's always they feel like things are being kept by the older generations, or the older generation does not see them or hear them because they're too busy critiquing them. So I think as a bridger, I look to myself as a bridge. So I can assimilate in so many different spaces with my identity that I'm listening to this feedback, or I see the kid or the young lady, expressing how she wants to dance. And like, I can see the seeds being planted. And then when God puts it on my heart to walk in their room, tell everybody to get up and learn this dance, or give them some advice on how to handle the relationship between this staff member and this student. Because sometimes you need that person that's in the middle to be able to facilitate, how a older person is feeling versus a younger person, and that's where I step in. Or sometimes you need fashion sense, and I'm a little eclectic with my style. A lot of straight men here on campus, they want to put that they want to put it on to press the honeys, y'all go ahead, little bro, go in my closet, little bro, do your thing,
Right.
Put on my best vest, my best bubble jacket, do your thing, and it's like little things like that. Yes, I don't have the monetary things to make the change in people's life that I would want to, but that will come. And so from what I have the capacity to give, I maximize that, whether it's clothes, whether it's advice, whether it is a few dollars, whether it's just showing up, whether it's just listening to them, whether it's being myself so much to where they could be themselves no matter what space you in, by being an example of what it looks like to be authentic. But will hopefully in the long run cause this person may be struggling with this thing eternally to be authentically themselves, and knowing that God's still gonna love you either way. And my job is to really pull people out of that to eternal struggle, so they can externally be free. And I feel like I do that very well with the stage and the audience and the people that I have.
I mean, but that is beautiful. That is beautiful, because let me explain something to you. That's what we're missing as a society. The first thing you said it may not be monetary. Okay, let's take all of that away. Everything you just said is what somebody needs. Hey, little bro, go in there and look and see if there's something in the closet that you can put on so you can impress this young lady. Hey, what's going on? Let's have a conversation. Humanality, just the basic human need, just meeting a basic human need. Are you hungry? Oh, let's walk down to Helen's Hot Chicken and grab you a 2-piece tender and feed your belly. Or let's walk down to the corner market and get you a couple of packs of noodles or something to feed. Because I always tell people like this: you see a homeless guy standing on a corner with a sign, and he says he's hungry. Now, you talk about your Christianity. Now, listen to this. You see a homeless guy standing on a corner. He's got a sign that says anything helps. So you go down there and you say, hey, my brother, have you read Psalms 123:13? And you quote Bible verses to him, and you try to give him a Bible.
Yeah.
Now, this man is hungry. He's hungry. He ain't ate in 5 days. Do you think he's really going to be open to you reading that Bible to him, to him taking that Bible? Is he really going to be open?
No, and I'm offended that you even came at him like that. You read the sign and didn't say nothing about no scripture. He hungry.
But see, you're a little bit different. You're a different bear. Because check this out. I'm a different bear too. If I see a man on the corner with a sign and he says he's hungry, but I want to read him this Bible, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scan the perimeter and I'm going to find the nearest restaurant. And I'm going to go and ask him, say, are you hungry, brother? Would you like to go over here to McDonald's, Wendy's, Taco Bell's, whatever's in close proximity to him, and say, come on, I'm going to take you over here and I'm going to buy you something to eat. We're going to sit down and we're going to eat together. And while he's sitting down eating that meal, then I'm going to break out that Bible and I'm going to say, hey, listen.
Wow.
Wow. Gotcha. Because now I've fulfilled his need. I've put food in his belly. You understand what I'm saying? I fulfilled the need that he needs. Now I can usher him into Christianity. Not knowing if he is or not, but now I can accomplish my goal by reading him these Bible verses and telling him about the goodness of God, and then telling him that, hey, the church is feeding on Wednesday night. You come by on Wednesday night and we're going to feed you a good meal on Wednesday night. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, and then some. I think I was explaining to one of my frat brothers, like, I was just saved in 2024. Like, I was baptized. I've been called, God has been called me, but I've just been indoctrinated into what it means to be in a relationship with God in 2024. And as for like the way my theology, the way I perceive God is such from a worldly standpoint in that perspective. Like, my first thing is to help this person's need, and then follow it up with scripture because I'm actually representing the works of Jesus Christ, and then and then I build out the scripture. But if you reflect that light before you get to even trying to, like you said, break people apart and tear them down, and know what they identify as Christianity, the humanness and all that interaction is what I identify with. It's what I lean towards to as I'm engaging with believers, are people that I'm trying to say, are people that I want to say, people that I want to see, people that I want to see the grace and the light of God. I
Right.
always try to emphasize that humanness is important.
But there are some people in Christianity, they just want to shove the Bible down your throat. Now, every
They want you to
Friday,
do it your way too. They want
right,
you to do Christianity their way.
right. Now, every Friday night, I host a 2-hour live show where men can come in and have vulnerable and transparent conversations. And I tell people all the time, it's not church. It's not church. Now, it's God derivative. God gave me this idea. God gave me this blessing, but I want men to be as authentic and as real as possible. Whatever you're going through as a man, let's talk about it. You understand what I'm saying? Let's
Right,
have a
right, right.
real intelligent conversation about life, love, marriage, rearing children, whatever's going on at your job. Let's have a real conversation about that, whether you need to cuss it out, whether you need to scream it out, whether you need to do whatever you need to do, because the church is what it is. The church house is what it is. But in actuality, the church is here. There's a church inside of all of us. This is church right here, and it may not look like a cathedral. It may not look like a building that we're entering, but we're praising God because I give God all the glory, all of it, for giving me this talent. And I thank God for giving me the opportunity to have you here. And I thank God for giving us this time frame. But at the end of the day, it's still about humanity. It's about identifying. It's about connecting. It's about all these things. So tell me about, you got baptized in 2024. Before that, what was your religious practice like before that?
Christianity, I had no choice.
But I'm saying, what was you doing? You said you
Well,
just got baptized in 2024. Were you going to church? What was you
I
doing?
was saying, yeah, that don't mean the first time I stepped into the water, into the church. I was saying, so yeah, like I'm saying I got locked in with God when I got baptized, but I was already participating in church. I didn't grow up in church. If I'll be lying if I said that my mama made me go to church every Sunday between ages of birth and 19. No, that's not my story. Me coming to Tennessee is where I found God. Is when I started to open my eyes a little bigger. And 2024 is when I chose to make that choice to release the old,
Okay.
like completely.
I got you. Let's drive back real quick. Let's drive
Okay.
back to the beginning. You said you came to Nashville in a relationship.
Yes, trying to maintain one. Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
was so you thought this was going to be the family, all of that. What was that about?
Yeah, it was my best friend, my dog. Somebody that I thought I've grown to have an understanding to know and learn because we both from the same city. Like
Okay.
his grandparents has always lived here, but his mom and him were from the same hometown. He moved here years before I came. Stuff was going on back home. I decided to, okay, I'm in a different place. You're at where you're at in life. We can do this. We can do a lot together. Let me come down here and restart. We can just reset together. But the problem was when I first got down here, he did not tell me that he was living the same lifestyle that I was trying to get away from.
Okay.
He ended up becoming somebody that uses also.
Okay.
And so like
So,
I'm a journey, the part of substance misuse. I hate the word addiction. Like it's such
okay.
a
Yeah,
substance misuse. When people are on that journey, people are in different places with it. You have to move differently. And me attaching myself to like the spirit that attachment spirit that I have for people that I love and care about, it was hard for me to like, okay, like this man trying to turn it up and shit like that. I came in there to do a job, start over, go to school. This man trying to get high and fuck and do X, Y, and Z all hours of the night, and I'm not really realizing how to tells a person no, or me as a person are engaging differently, and his family is realizing it's not his family that cares about him. It's realizing that me and his relationship is not the healthiest. So basically, it just came down to me choosing like, what do I want? Do I want to sit there and be comfortable? I guess comfortable in a sense, but still live a lifestyle that's unpleasing to me, or do I want to be uncomfortable and get them along and start
Right.
all over like I really came down here to do?
Right.
And and life happened, so I had no choice but to start over. I
So
ended up getting put out the house,
where's he now?
living his life, be free.
Okay.
Be free.
Okay. Now, being that you all were young, he came before you. You came here to live this life. When you got here, it was some totally different. Did it change the relationship immediately, or was it gradual? Did you see it when you first got here, or did it like he hid it from you?
Oh no, I did not. He hid it from me up until he got here. I did not know. I would not have came down here if I would have known that he was doing X, Y, or
Dibbling and
Z. It was
dabbling.
completely hidden. Like it was given like his stage, his upbringing is a little bit more stable than mine. I did
Okay.
not know. I did not know that he would have. He didn't have to go through the type of stuff he was going through. His support system was different than mine. So when I
Okay.
tell you, I was really thrown for a loop when I got down here, and we in the bando, we trapped out, nigga. Smoked out, nigga. This is not, nigga. You tricked me. You got me. But it's like but me
Right.
going back to me knowing it all. My mama told me not to come, and I came anyway. Like
Okay.
and
How many conversations have you had with mama saying, "Mama, you know what? You was right."
recently, now more than ever, I've overcame. And when I was sitting in it, I can't give it to her. You got me messed up.
No, no,
I'm
no.
gonna
I'm
work it
talking
out.
about now on the other side of
Yeah,
this whole situation because I was
yeah,
just having a conversation like that on my Friday night show.
yeah.
And I asked the fellas, I said, how many times now since you're an adult and since you're where you are in life, have you went back and told your parents, hey, you know what? You was right? Because we all go through the I'm grown syndrome. Like I said, from 18 to 25, we all have been through that I'm grown syndrome. And now that we've gotten older and we've been through all these rigmaroles and all of these emotions and all these things, are we now going back and giving our parents their flowers per se to say, you know what, my mom was wrong. You was right. I shouldn't have been hanging out with John John. You understand what I'm saying? I shouldn't have been hanging over there on 3rd Street. I shouldn't have been over there doing the things I was doing. You can't take them back. That's one thing. You can't take them back. But they mold us into the people we are right now.
Right. I would say, yeah, and yes. And I said, me and my mom have a healthy relationship, and I have, despite all of that, and I'm grateful for that. So I'm able to express in real time, by the grace of God, how appreciative I am for the sacrifice that she has made for me. I don't think I'll be able to thank her enough, along with other people. But like, it is what it is. Like you said, I don't hopper too much on it because I'm so far removed. Like God has told me, elevated me. It's elevating me in real time. So it's like I don't have to keep apologizing. And fortunately, I only have to learn different lessons, but I only have to learn them one time before I
Right.
get it. And I'm
But you move
and I'm
on. I
best
got what you're
enough.
saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So how you blew your opportunity for at an early age but you still got time to redeem yourself, but you blew the opportunity to be on stage and all of those things, singing and dancing off Broadway. The reflection of that now, are you trying to get back to that, or are we looking in a different direction now?
I'm looking to match all that because now my passions have broadened, broadened. So like, yes, that's something that I will do and do an abundance of, and then some. 'Cause that's my natural. God has gifted me with the ability to be creative,
Okay.
and I want to exercise that and maximize that in the best way possible. But now in my head thinking about how can I be creative and make that apply to my nonprofit? How can I be creative and make that apply to like my philanthropy? How I deal with people? Me going to school to be as psychologists and social workers, which is what I'm going to grad school for. How can I make all that mesh together? Because now I'm thinking bigger. And so I was like, yes.
So tell me the name of your nonprofit and tell me what the mission is and how long it's been in existence.
Okay, my nonprofit is Recovery for You. It's a prevention of substance misuse program that's been around for 3 years. I established it when I first started attending American Baptist College, so 2021, 2022. And our mission is to cultivate and provide holistic care for marginalized individuals, not limited to, but for marginalized individuals within low-income communities such as LGBTQIA individuals or low-income families. So we provide different programmings to tackle the issue of substance misuse from a spiritual and holistic standpoint. So what that looks like, we have different type of programmings within my nonprofit that I'm currently developing that's going to alleviate those issues within the communities. So I will end up personalizing certain recovery or prevention programs for individuals depending on what your struggle is. And eventually that would look like having a recovery house, multiple recovery houses, and depending on, you know, at-risk teens, adults, depending on where you're at with this, we'll personalize program for an individual person just to get them out of that. 'Cause all that is getting a person back to who they were before life, before life got to life. And if you can provide those things, like if you can fulfill their need, they can release, they wanted to use and use drugs as an escape. And that's what I want my program to provide. But just tackle those for people that look like all kinds of people. Because I know this recovery programs already exist, but it's always this notion of one focus of people. And I'm just not that individual. Everybody needs something. Everybody,
Right.
white, black, gay, straight, the 12-year-old, the 25-year-old. And that's what Recovery for You is.
That's beautiful. And I love that. I love that. And great success. And we're going to work together on that on the outside because I'd love to help you get to where you need to go. And I partner with a nonprofit called GG Me. And my head of my nonprofit is a young lady who was previously incarcerated and got herself back together and fought back to be a productive citizen of society. And I love her to death. And she's a great young lady. She wrote a journal in which I'm going to send you the link to the journal. And I want you to
Peace.
check out the journal that she wrote. It tells her story about being incarcerated for drug charges. Now, she wasn't a user. She was at a place where they were selling drugs and was convicted for possession with resale. But it's still along the same lines of helping. What she wants to do is she wants to help people understand that just because you've been previously incarcerated does not mean your life ends there. There are things that you could do on the other side. Since she's been incarcerated, she's gotten 2 degrees and she works a full-time 9-to-5 job. So there's life outside of addiction and drugs and jail and all those things. There is life on the other side of that. And you're living proof of that.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. It's hard to even receive things like that because I always raise my bar. I was telling my friend about that. Like, I always feel like my personality type, I feel like I'm never doing enough because I know like where I dream about. You know, I know what I'm passionate about. I know where I feel like I know where I want to go. And so receiving comments like that is very affirming because I don't affirm myself as often as I need to. So I appreciate that, brother.
Man, you a star. I'm like, you a star right now. I'm digging, like I said, the outfit, man. You came on the screen with the hat. I'm like, where he get that hat at? I need that hat.
Appreciate it, bro.
I'm so serious. And I love the way you put together with the vest. Now, where do you shop at?
Like, that was affordable, man.
Thrift store, whatever's affordable.
The thrift store, Buffalo Exchange. If I got a little change, I might go to Nordstrom's, you know, but like, I'm not, it's about how you put it together, baby. It's all in the mind.
All right. So right now, how are you maintaining? Are you working? What are you doing? What is Jaylin doing right now to keep himself above water?
Well, so, by the grace of God, I still get a check from the military, so I'm able to get something to maintain my my day to day. But I'm also
Okay.
a wellness coach at the YMCA.
Okay.
At the Northwest YMCA, I volunteer for Black Mental Health Village, which is a nonprofit organization. I'm a program coordinator over there.
Shout it out
Um,
again. Tell me, I need you to speak up a little loud and tell me what the name of that
shout,
thing
shout,
is.
Shout out to Black Mental Health Village, who has had a major hand in my development, in my matriculation as a professional. If it wasn't for them, I would not be in some of the spaces, in the rooms, and faces that I've been in. I'm forever grateful for that. I'm currently growing in the YMCA and diversifying my knowledge on wellness and what it means to live in wellness and be well, and more than just a physical standpoint. That's what the YMCA is doing for me now, and I've been blessed enough to receive grace and mercy and plenty of it by American Baptist College, which
Say
the
that.
institution. I've been blessed enough to receive so much grace by grace of God in tandem with American Baptist College, and it's allowed me to to grow seamlessly. And I thank God for second, third, fourth, fifth, 11, whatever chances. I thank God for that. And it's all been facilitated by these organizations such as American Baptist College, Black Mental Health Village, YMCA. And there's only the few things that I can name, that's have had a hand that I can see, at least, that's had a hand in my growth and my articulation. I'm forever grateful for that.
Man, listen, but the thing is you have a village. You have a
Yes.
village. And a lot of people that are young and in your shoes don't have a village. And you brought a different aspect to this conversation. And I'm not being funny or anything, but I didn't know from the initial conversations that we had over the phone and text and whatever that you were queer. And that shit don't mean nothing. But I'm
Right.
saying we still got to advocate for people. And I love your attitude and I love who you are as a person. And we need more of you. We need more of you to advocate for young men in that space, if you can understand what I'm saying, because there's so many young boys and women out here that feel like they don't have anybody to talk to. See, I
Right.
created this whole space to give people an opportunity to be able to have conversations. And so many men, and I'm just saying men in general, are
Right.
dying in silence because they feel like they don't have anybody to talk to about what they have going on, just as well as in the queer space. There's so many men in the queer space that have not come out and being
Mhm.
truly who they are and not able to talk to anyone. So if we could start a community that where they could have those true self conversations, I think this world would be a little bit better. If you can understand what I'm saying.
More than enough, man. You ain't never lied. You ain't never
Because
lied.
there are young boys and young men who are fighting with this internally and don't know who to talk to, where to go to, because they feel, like you said, the young ones feel like the old ones don't see them and they're going to critique everything they're doing. Think about the impact of that on a young person who's queer but hadn't come out yet, and they're fighting to pretend to be, oh yeah, I'm brolic, I'm rough, I'm this, or a female that's pretending to be Miss Polly Princess, but she's really not feeling that particular identity and she
Mhm.
has no one to talk to. If we could have more open spaces, and I'm talking about on a human level, fuck a title. I'm talking about on a
Yeah.
human level. If we had more spaces where people could have real, true, vulnerable, and transparent conversations, man, this world would be a whole lot better.
Heavy on the transparent. Heavy on the transparent. 'Cause you can be honest, but everybody not transparent. We gotta start tackling that.
Right. But
We
see,
gotta
the
start
thing,
tackling that.
here's the thing, and what I learned from my men's group is that men think transparency is an opening. Men think that transparency is an opening for them to be wounded. Because if you become transparent, then you're opening yourself up and being vulnerable. So opening yourself up and being vulnerable is letting your walls down. And so now you're open for attack. And that's what a lot of people feel like being transparent and vulnerable is not the thing to be, because if I tell you my secret, then you're going to attack me. For example, about 6 weeks ago on my platform, because I'm the host, so I have to be vulnerable and transparent in my platform.
Right.
So I announced, no, it was October. It was October. Yeah, it was October because me and the wife were about to get on a cruise ship. It was in October. And I came across and I shared a story that when I was younger, I was molested by a
Well,
female and a male.
I'm sorry
I
to
was
hear that.
molested. So understanding at between 12 and 13 when these things happen. Okay? Between 12 and 13 is when those things happen. And for a while there, I fought with my sexuality because I'm a 12, 13-year-old boy and I don't
Right.
know what's going
Going on.
on. You know what I'm saying? This person has did these things to me. Now, on one side, it felt good. On the other side, it felt bad. You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And I had this conversation with a group of men on my platform, and it was received very well. A lot of them were mad. A lot of them didn't know, because some of these guys I know in real life. Some of them I don't know in real life. But to understand that I came out and I said that another gentleman came out and said he was also sexually assaulted. But he said he didn't know how to have that conversation because he always thought that he would get judged and he thought that people would look at him differently by even saying those words, by even letting the words come out of his mouth, you know. But it's all about humanity and it's about changing the narrative, bro. That's what I'm about. I'm about changing the narrative. I'm about changing the way people view us as men because they view us as angry, as upset, as emotionalist, as, you know, you're valued at what you can produce in these days and times. Your value is put on where you work at, what kind of car you drive, where you live at, all those things. But your value was given to you by God.
Right.
But we've let man dictate our value by monetary things. That's not where our value lies. So that's why I said the things you do are amazing. Whether it's letting somebody borrow your clothes, whether it's giving some advice to someone, whether it's feeding someone, whether it's telling your testimony and giving the glory of God and what he's done to you, I think that's amazing, my brother. And to hear you have this nonprofit to where you want to help people understand their value all over again is amazing. Right, like you said, whether you 12, 15, 25, 35, 45, you're helping people understand that they're still valuable and that we all make mistakes. Misusage of a substance is not your end all be all.
Definitely. I'm here to tell you that. Living testimony. It is not.
Exactly.
Like, don't let principalities and man make you feel like that it is. That it is. I swear.
Right.
I'm not getting all preachy, but yeah. But yeah,
Hey,
like
hey, if that's where it goes, listen, man, I tell people all the time, my platform ain't church.
right.
But sometimes it gets preachy, brother. Sometimes
So,
a sermon will start and somebody will get to preaching
yeah.
and I just have to say, amen, brother, listen. Because God gets
Almost.
in there. And when God comes in, we can't stop him.
So yeah, man. I think, and I thank God that for people that there's people like you on this earth that still have the intentions of bringing a world peace.
Oh yeah.
I guess I'm gonna say like I guess you could sum it up as that,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like it may be impossible, but none of us is Jesus. But like if there's people in this world and it's in my proximity that think and that feel like you, I'm honored to be in the same space, no matter what that monetary value may look like to be in front of people like you. And I just appreciate you for giving me this opportunity and platform to even reflect on things like this, brother. I'm forever grateful, man.
Man, listen, ain't no monetary nothing, man. We all, like you said, it's all about humanity. And for me, it's all about people. It's all about
Right.
healing. I created what I have because it's something that I didn't know I needed. As I stated previously, I'm 46 years old. When I was 26 years old, I needed this space. You understand what I'm saying? I grew up
Mhm.
in a single parent home, the oldest of three boys. And I grew up in a different environment where a lot of people grew up in homes where domestic violence happened and they watched their fathers beat their moms and all. I grew up in a totally different dynamics. Because of said trauma that my mother had from her youth, my mother was the aggressor. I watched my mother beat every man she had ever been married to my whole entire life until I was 24 years old. And by the time I was 24 years old, she met the man that she's married to right now. They've never had a physical altercation as long as I've known. But that came from a trauma my mother inquired when she was 17 or 18 years old, and it was attached to a very important moment in her life. But now I've been married numerous times because I've been chasing that thing for years. But I thank God finally put me with the right woman, because I wasn't chasing this woman and nor was she chasing me. God put us together because he knew we needed each other. But I tell every woman that I've ever been with, if we have to get physical, get mad enough to where we get physical and we have to put our hands on each other, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. I have to pack my things and leave because I never want to be in that situation. So that's why I look for peace and humanity in whatever I do, bro, because I lived most of my childhood life living in a house where there was dysfunction. I just want, like right now, I'm going through some things, nothing bad or major, but going through some things with my family right now. And my wife asked me, she's like, why are you responding to these situations in this manner? And I'm like, regardless if it's family, friends, whatever relationship it is, you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself because people ain't going to protect you. People are going to use you until they can't use you no more. They're going to use you till they can't use you no more. So that's why I give you your flowers for being who you are. Monetary ain't got shit to do with it. In humanality, it's help thy neighbor.
Yeah.
They ain't say give your neighbor 25, 30, $100. Help your neighbor. If you had a cup of sugar, then you give your neighbor a cup of sugar.
Yeah.
If you can sew and your neighbor can fix a wall, then y'all trade it out. Okay, you need some pants to be sewed up? I'll sew your pants up. You come over and fix this hole up. And there was no monetary. I know the world is different. I know it's different now. I know we live in different days and different times. But people like you and me, we are very rare. We're very rare. And we're in small groups. But as long as we keep fighting, brother, we're going to make it.
Yes, 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 yes.
We're going to make it. We are going to make a difference. Whether it's one person or it's 100 people, we're going to make a difference in somebody's life. Man, tell me about this dance stuff.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say so. Yeah, I've always been. I've learned to. I was able to. I learned how to dance in the living room. Okay, I never
Okay.
didn't grow up in no classes. Watching little cheetah girls, little YouTube videos, just trying to copy the moves. I always had this natural affinity towards dance. And my late partner, who passed away also in 2019. I used to be married myself, widowed. They have the skill set to dance. I used to always they used to take dance classes to come back and teach me what they learned. So all
Okay.
like the technical standpoint, everything I've learned on the back end or through the living room. With in that in combination with my gift, it has allowed me to pick up choreography faster or look good doing it. So like while I've never grown up, in those dance competitions and everything like that, I've naturally had the gift of dance and performing. And that's eventually brought me to joining an organization called Music City All Stars, which is founded by a few gifted dancers here in Nashville, Tennessee. And they got a hold of me, and they have had it molded me, teaching me the history behind J setting and marching band and that kind of dance, and that's in voguing and ballroom in the ballroom scene, House of Schiaparelli, so the whole voguing, all that, like I've been able to develop my gift enough to where I can be in these spaces and perform just as well as others who've been doing it for years,
Okay.
all their lives. And I currently in real time teaching at an after school program, Pruitt Library, little girls, and I'm also in the ballroom scene. I just came back from Atlanta and walking the ball, performing. Yeah, woo
Yes.
woo.
Woo.
Walking back from there, like just getting my feet out there and expanding that network of it all. That's a whole nother world in itself.
It is. It is a
Like
whole nother world.
a whole nother world, brother. So it's like, yes, like that's my history with dance. That's my history, my stint with dance. I'm still developing my gift of dance. I'm still learning to step into my comfortability of leadership and recognizing that, oh, nigga, okay, you better than the average dancer, nigga. Lean into that more. Stop being so meek in with your leadership style. I'm still developing my identity as a dancer, but that's what I do. I have no problem shaking it
All
if
right,
I
I
needed
got you.
to.
Now, I appreciate you coming on here, and I appreciate us having this conversation. I got a few little questions before we go, and then I'm
All
going
right,
to get you
man.
to shout out all the things you got going on at the end of this conversation. But
Okay.
I always ask my guests 3 questions.
All right.
Nothing too, if you don't want to answer them, they're not personal, but they're personal. But if you don't want to answer them, you don't answer them. But I got 3
Talk to
questions.
me.
If you could describe your perfect mate, what would you describe them? How would you describe them?
Black. Or 2, assertive, a solution finder, God-fearing, family-oriented, compassionate, selfless, but still grounded enough to make selfish decisions. um, Financially responsible, but still generous. I don't want nobody. And yeah, kept on the God fearing.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
So, what is Jaylin's go-to snack? Like, if you like, we get off of this thing right now, and you like, man, I'm gonna go ahead and grab me some Oreos or some ice cream or a little Debbie. What is Jaylin's go-to snack?
I got some Reese's, got some cookies and cream ice cream. I got some cookies and cream ice cream. I sure am. Go give me that. Give me that.
If there's anything, here's my last question, and then I want you to shout out everything you got going on. If there's anything you could go back and tell 15-year-old Jaylin, what would it be?
Don't let people water down your eclecticness and how different you are. Be able to express that in any space, in any place that you're in, because somebody in that space needs it just as much as you did. And that's what I would tell myself.
Man, that's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I tell you what, the answers you gave on the spouse, that's great. And I've asked that question to women and men because I've interviewed women and men, and most of the time the women want physical attributes. And a lot of times the women the men they want they're about basically the same, but not as much as yours. But most
Yeah.
women, oh, you got to be 6 foot tall. I wanted to be this. I wanted to be that. You know, but the
Yeah.
spiritual aspect of it, I like that. I like that
Yeah.
more. And then you said generous but selfish at the same time. You described me when you said, because I'm generous with my wife, but I'm selfish at the same time. Those are good attributes to look for in a spouse, man. That is amazing. That is
Yes,
amazing that that's what you're looking for in a spouse. And I hope that you are everything that you're looking for in a spouse. Because you
definitely.
can't expect your spouse to be a mirroring image of you, but you want them to be a glance of who you are. it's like me and my wife right now, we're similar, but so different because she's generous, but selfish. She's caring and loving, but she's an asshole at the same time. I'm caring and loving, but I'm an asshole at the same time. But we accent each other. You understand what I'm saying? When I'm down, she's up. When she's down, I'm up. And it took me a long time to get to this point to where I'm at to understand true relationships and true partnerships. Because we, like you said, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, we think we grown. I was married for the first time at 22. Wasn't ready. I was a dad at 20. Was married by 22. Wasn't to my
Play no games.
Right. But not to my child's mom. I was married to a different woman. I'm on my fourth marriage. But at the same hand, it took God. Like I said, it took God to put this woman in my life because our testimony is God didn't give us what we wanted. He gave us what we needed. And that's what a lot of people need to understand in relationships. You can go out here and you can look for this what you're physically attracted to, but what you're physically attracted to has it all. The honest to God's question that people don't ask themselves is, what I'm physically attracted to, is it good for me? Has it been good for me? That's the thing. Has what I'm physically attracted to been good for me or good to me? A lot of people don't. So,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So shout out everything you got going on, and we're going to get out of here, man. It's been a great conversation. Shout out. I want your nonprofit. I want your village. I want everything. Say it for everybody. Say it for the people in the back.
All right, man. Man, shout out. This is Jaylin Henry, man. Shout out CEO and founder of Recovery for You. Shout out to 413 Strong. Shout out to brother Eric Evans. Shout out to Pastor Dr. William Green. Shout out to the YMCA, Northwest YMCA. Shout out to American Baptist College. Shout out to Music City All-Stars. Shout out to God. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to God. Shout out to any, thank you and shout out in advance to anybody who's on this journey with me. And shout out to you, Brother Joe, for having me be here, brother. Yeah, that's
Man,
it.
Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being open. Thank you for having this conversation with me. Man, like I said, we're going to have to get together on a personal, outside of this.
We here.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to get together. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about some things. I'm going to introduce you to some of my people. You can introduce me to some of your people.
We locked in.
Man, we're going to do some stuff together. 2026, I'm all about collaborating with people. I'm all about collabing. So anything I can do to help you, I'm open. If it's something that I have that you need, you just get at me and I'll help you out. And I hope I can get the same in return from you.
You don't gotta hope, nigga. We here now. We here. You locked in.
We locked in. We locked in. All right, my brother. You have a great night and thank you for being here with me.
All right, Brother Joe. Thank you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All righty, sir.
All right, big bro.
Bye-bye.
All right.